Mr. Speaker, despite this House seeing it fit to apologize to Vice-Admiral Norman, the Liberals on the Defence Committee refused to invite him to tell his story. Today, the Globe and Mail is reporting that the Prime Minister is the one who angrily launched the RCMP investigation that identified Mark Norman. The charge against Vice-Admiral Norman has been stayed. The judge said he is a free man, but the Liberals won't let him talk. Why are these Liberals doing the Prime Minister's dirty work? What are they trying to cover up?
Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of National Defence. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my colleague knows full well that the committee works independently of the government. I know it's difficult for them to understand, Mr. Speaker, because under their government, we know perfectly well who controlled the committees. Mr. Speaker, in terms of the process regarding Vice-Admiral Norman and the Public Prosecution Service of Canada, they said that no outside factors were taken into consideration. There was no outside influence either on the PPSC, including political interference in the decision to lay charges and the decision to stay the prosecution. And any statement to the contrary is absurd.
Eastman.
Well, it sounds like the Liberal cover-up goes on. Mr. Speaker, Vice-Admiral Mark Norman served this country with honour and distinction for 30 years. Yet these Liberals won't even give him 30 seconds at one committee meeting to tell his story. They're covering up and protecting the Prime Minister and his involvement in this matter. The Globe and Mail revealed today that the Prime Minister is the one who demanded the investigation. Why would the Prime Minister think it's appropriate to politically direct an RCMP investigation?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, the member seems to be dumbfounded that as the head of a government, the Prime Minister would be concerned about leaks of cabinet confidence. I would hope that any Prime Minister would be concerned, and that members should understand that when it comes to the RCMP, it is an independent organization, and the decision to launch the investigation was made by the RCMP alone. As the Director of Public Prosecution of Canada confirmed last week, the decision to initiate the investigation, lay charges, stay the charges were made independently without political interference. The member might want to listen to what's being said out there. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Selkirk, Interlake, Eastman.
The Minister may want to actually think about what actually happened here, and that it was the Prime Minister who demanded the investigation to find a scapegoat for his cabinet leaks. On 2 occasions, the Prime Minister stated publicly that Vice-Admiral Norman would be charged even before the charges were laid and the investigation was complete. We now know that the Liberals withheld evidence from the RCMP, the public prosecutor, and Norman's defence team. Vice-Admiral Norman deserves better than this kind of treatment from the Liberals. Why are the Liberals tarnishing the great reputation of Vice-Admiral Norman just to protect this Prime Minister?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
As the honourable member well knows, the RCMP is an independent body and chooses to investigate and gather evidence on its own, independent of government sources. With respect to documents, Mr. Speaker, our government fulfilled all requests to the court for third-party records applications. In fact, we put together a process with the court to ensure that those documents could be identified and then screened, Mr. Speaker, ultimately by the judge in question. And so we fulfilled all our obligations, and we were cited by the court, Mr. Speaker, for having done so.